'82, I was 17, my old man was 55. If you do the math between the two of us, that's 72 years alive. An eternity, so it seemed to me. How could anything live that long? Now I say my folks were only 84 the year that they passed on. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be. And my grandpa Roy, when he was a boy in 1904, he was taught by men who fought in the actual Civil War. And only 8 decades passed and my high school class put the tassels on the other side. Started on our way full of naivete on the great American ride. The months and years slide past, each more quickly than the last. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see 100 years ain't what it used to be. Oh, Johnny!
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Johnny, hey! Oh, yeah!
He did the guitar face.
Ibuprofen's under buy again in my online shopping cart. Every week I learn of something else I should be doing for my heart. If I use the wrong pillow, I might have trouble getting out of bed. My hair grows in my ears and nose now more than on my head. As a kid, to me, ancient history was something like World War I. But I arrived close to that time than this year as I sing this song. And I'm starting to find I can wrap my mind around life is brief and dear. I can hardly believe my baby girl's turned 26 this year. For a little while it seems you got time to choose your dreams. Pretty soon you look around and you'll see everybody 100 years ain't what it used to be. Before you know it, you're 63, making plans for Medicare A and B. You look around yourself and you see 100 years ain't what it used to be.
garden stores.
Joe, it sounds like you are ready.
Oh, I didn't have ads yet.
Jesus.
You did, well, don't give me
I
Jesus.
know. I'm not
did
giving
it.
you Jesus. Joe, on today's award-nominated program, you are going to have Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores. You are also going to have Precision Garage Door of the Twin Cities and Bradshaw and Bryant.
Chris?
Hi, Ken. You are going to have ProfessionalTurf.com and Seafoam.
Joe?
What?
Just try to retain one listener today.
Wow.
Just one. That's all I ask.
We like doing the show.
No, I feel like going up the waterfront.
I kind of want to keep just one good listener.
Well, good luck to you.
I'm gonna strap myself in here.
Here we go.
Okay, Kenny. Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1507, March 19, 2025. We roll along with records in the year 2012. It was 79 degrees on this day in 2012, 15 below on the morning of this day in 1875.
Okay, Kenny.
Yeah.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Haidt in the newsroom, and of course, the rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
I have to get a few things off my chest.
Oh, boy.
Last night I stumbled upon, and I'm glad I did, a documentary about James J. Hill. It was on public television. I don't know if it was an NPR production or a national production. And I'm glad I watched it because I'm interested in James J. Hill, James Jerome Hill. And I think it was in 3 parts, and I saw at least 2 of the 3. But I got news for you. This guy chopped down every tree that ever got in his way. He blew up mountains to put tunnels through them. He irrigated land that was never intended to be used for growing. Who's the guy that owns Amazon? Jeff Bezos of his day. I mean, in today's dollars, he was multi-billionaire. He was fascinating. But towards the end of it, they managed. I don't know how this could be, but they managed to find, or they quoted, you didn't hear Hill saying it, but they quoted him saying he was worried about if his practices were sustainable enough in the event they could affect the climate. They really wanted to portray this guy as somebody who was suddenly worried about the climate. It's 1914. He didn't give a bleep about the climate.
He was Greta Thunberg of
He chopped down everything he could see.
Is it called the Empire Builder?
Yeah,
Okay.
Great Northern. And then I don't diminish anything he did. I think it's fantastic what he did. But don't sell me this cockamamie idea that he was worried about the climate.
It does look like it's a local production.
What a bunch of BS. Okay, what was next?
Very well produced local
It was
production,
wonderful.
by the way.
It was
Yeah.
wonderful. I enjoyed it.
3 parts.
I didn't realize it came out in 2004.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2004 as well. That's what it has as a
It
release
felt dated for some reason. It felt dated.
date. Well, maybe in 2004 he did care about the climate, but he doesn't now.
It was long dead in 2004. Second thing I want to get off my mind.
Dose.
Number 2.
Number 2. For about the past 72 hours, the meteorologists on TV, gladly referencing all the models they have access to, predicted a significant blizzard that would have included at least parts of the Twin Cities. And so they were selling this hard. And it was all based on models, and they show the models. Here's what the EF says. Here's what this one says. And of course, it turns out last night they all had to eat crow because the models let them down. The models have now moved this storm that might have affected the South Metro. They've moved it the models have moved it 75 miles south. Nowhere near here.
Okay.
But the models, they went with the models. They were betting on these models. So don't tell me, all you climate change warriors, you base your BS on modeling. They can't get the models straight for 72 hours. So don't tell me the models, don't tell me that the models can predict what the temperature is going to be 100 years from now. You people.
I have people in the Sioux City, Iowa area, and they reported having what?
I was singing. Sorry.
Oh, they reported thunder snow with the lightning.
Fine. Somebody's probably going to get some snow, and somebody's probably going to get a little blizzard condition. But the models let us down.
It appears that this wrong prediction has really got you upset.
No.
Did you somehow change your plans or cancel an event?
No, it's the modeling that gets me upset.
Really
because
upset
these
right
people
now.
in the failed academy love to drag out the models. Whoa, look what the model says. We're going to be, there won't even be an Earth 100 years from now. It'll be so damn hot.
Maybe you could add some of the adjectives you used before we were recording about these, when you talked about these stories.
I don't think I can.
Oh, okay.
Now on to this Republican Senator Eichhorn, Justin Eichhorn from Grand Rapids. Boy, there's not much you can say when a guy gets caught apparently trying to solicit a 17-year-old girl.
Well, especially when his campaign video resurfaced yesterday, and it includes his family, including all four of his kids.
Well, the punishment he'll have to endure from his family is far worse than anything I can say about it. Here's what I wanted to say about it. There's a major difference. That's a felony charge that he's facing. Nicole Mitchell is facing a felony charge. The difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, it seems to me, is the Republicans still have enough of a moral foundation to, I think they're almost unanimous, if they're not, in calling for Eichhorn to resign from the Senate. Go away. This is a bad thing you did. You got to clean up your life. You got to take care of this. The Democrats have done everything in their power to keep their member charged with a felony seated in the Senate, including allowing her to vote on whether she should be seated in the Senate.
Well, that's her right, yeah.
Well, presumably, Eichhorn could have made the same claims. He's probably smart enough not to. And I don't want to get into the difference in the crimes. They're both felonies. But one party is saying, sorry, Justin, you got to resign, because they have some moral backbone left. The Democrats have none.
But
zero.
And they also
zero.
waited until after the session was over to then say she should, right? Isn't that how wasn't that their plan?
Yeah. So, what are you going to do?
May I play your foil?
Sure.
What about due process?
That doesn't prevent his resignation from the Senate does not prevent due process. So what called for the behavior of the Republicans was some sort of moral clarity that they have and the Democrats don't have. As I said, Eichhorn could have put up the same BS fight that Mitchell did, but I don't think he would have gotten anywhere with his brothers and sisters on the Republican side of the aisle.
Here's why I like that electric car driving goofball GOP state rep Pat Garofalo. Mm-hmm. Did you see his statement?
I did not.
He called for the Senate to get rid of both Eichhorn and Mitchell.
Well, he's right.
Yep,
of course
absolutely.
He's right.
That's what should
absolutely.
happen.
And I want people to know, especially Pat, I gave you grief, Pat, about your car long before Musk ever entered the seat. Okay? Long before. 2, 3, 4 years ago.
And we're not changing.
And I'm not changing my mind, although it is, let's get to that. Let's get to that.
Well, you're powering through this first
Well,
segment.
you know what? Sometimes I as professional as I am, sometimes I race through a first segment and I realize, what have I just done?
Show's over.
It's over.
Burn through all your good stuff.
No, I got some stuff. Don't worry about me,
Okay.
Robbie. Where was I?
You were going to switch over to the national scene, I believe.
Oh, I was going to Tesla.
Tesla.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, all you phonies that buy Tesla because you thought you were going to save the earth. You're showing your true colors now. You really are. You're all a bunch of phonies. You bought the Tesla because it was a neat gadget. It had nothing to do with saving the earth. And now we're learning that there's a website called Doge Quest, and it's posted. And Pat Garofalo, you better be paying attention. I have a neighbor who better be paying attention. There's a website called Doge Quest that claims it's posting the personal information of every Tesla owner in the U.S.
Really?
You know, you phony hypocrites well, there's no shame anymore in the world. I hope that many of the prematurely gray-haired men and women of the Euphorian movement are caught in the act of vandalizing somebody's Tesla who might want to take matters into his own hands. I think that fair is fair. Yes?
Well, I have a politician, not knowing you were going here. This is Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. John, if you'd like to look him up, please.
Oh, I can tell you
know
something.
Mark Kelly, former astronaut.
I can tell you something about Kelly.
Okay.
Didn't that hypocrite ditch his Tesla for a Chevy
All
Suburban?
right, here I am with my new ride, Chevy, good old Chevy Tahoe,
Tahoe.
here in Washington, D.C. Got one of these in Tucson as well. This one was made
There's two of
by
them.
Union Labor, United Auto Workers in Arlington, Texas. Always good to buy Union cars, incredibly reliable. And I'm looking forward to driving this for many, many years.
Okay, Kelly. You you big phony. You're just another one of the theatrical, useful idiots who are going to pretend that you shouldn't be associated with a Tesla car.
Well, you know the backstory here, though.
That he
Musk
was-
called him a traitor
I didn't know that.
on X, called Mark Kelly a traitor because he said he was backing Ukraine. And all that Musk posted was nothing else, no context, no nothing. You are a traitor in answer to Kelly. And that started their little feud. I had this in the news. Apparently, you guys weren't listening very well.
Well, maybe that's causing Kelly's reaction as opposed to he doesn't care about the Earth.
I'm sure it's Doge. And
Speaking of
it's the fact that
astronauts.
he called him a traitor.
Speaking of astronauts, did anyone see the return to Earth of the? Wasn't that beautiful?
It was.
And they were greeted by a pod of dolphins.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
It was just wonderful. They
Well, I hope
splashed
that-
down gently, and these dolphins showed up.
Well, I hope the government corralled him and put him down, right?
Well, according to the Babylon Bee, a judge has ordered the astronauts to be returned to space. Boom, boom, boom.
So it was very surprising to me that they look like they can walk fine. They look happy.
No, they
and
didn't. The guy,
healthy. It looks like they're going to live long, happy lives.
Butch, had to be held up like a drunk leaving a bar, and I didn't see, what's her name, Suni?
Well,
Suni.
the reason they're having problems, it's the first time they've had pants on in about 6 months.
Well, they had been Porky Pigging it up there.
I had a question. What do you think the cabin smelled like?
Well, that was addressed yesterday. I actually heard that discussed.
Oh, you're kidding, really?
No, it smelled exactly like you think it would. Farts and stale air. And,
Like ass.
yeah, and it just, and
Like my traverse after a dum-dum run.
because also brought up was how delicious that sea air must have been to them, I mean, us earthbound people, well, I'll just speak for myself. As an earthbound creature, I love nothing more than to being exposed to the ocean and that fresh sea air that smells like the ocean.
Like salt
Can you
water.
imagine what it was like for them?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Freedom.
let's not ruin a beautiful sight here by asking me what it smelled like. Okay, all right. They were greeted by dolphins, for God's sake. What man can do when he puts his mind to it?
Your love of the Sierra. I love that because every time you walk up to the ocean, your first time back to wherever in years, The first thing you do is get on your phone and schedule an early flight home.
No, I don't.
You love the sea air so much. Just get the hell out of here.
Well, that's not true, and I regret the uncharitable way you're framing my actions. Anyway, there's a website out there. If you own a Tesla, you better hurry up and go get your phony hypocritical bumper sticker that says, "Don't blame me, I bought the car before I knew." Something like that. There's all kinds of bumper stickers out there that people are plastering on the back of their Teslas.
You know what
and
this
Patrick,
means?
keep your car, Pat Garofalo, keep your car in the garage. Have a care.
No, addressing Pat, this means the market is now flooded with these cars, and I bet you can get one for fairly cheap right now. If I remember right, hasn't Pat had his for 10 years at least?
He's had it quite a while, and he swears by it. Here's the deal. I don't know how cheap the price would get before I would be tempted.
I'm going to look
Because I'm not tempted at all. I mean, if you suddenly put in front of me a $75,000 Tesla that I could get for $500, I doubt I'd pull the trigger.
Oh,
I'd
come
have to
on.
take
I
it for
really
a
do.
test.
Really?
You'd
I
have
really
to
do.
Come on, you'd test
No,
drive
I'm
it
just
at least.
opposed to the concept. Well, I'll take it for a
I
test
disagree.
drive. They're 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or less.
You gotta, yeah.
I don't doubt any of their fun gadgetry. It's not for me. Do you think electric cars have the new car smell?
Well, sure.
Well, think about it.
Well, the interior.
How much of the new car smell is caused by petroleum?
No,
It's all the interior,
You know what they
isn't it?
smell like, Joe? They smell like my bench vise.
They smell
Or
like the
my
inside of a
bench-
space capsule.
My bench grinder.
Yeah.
They smell like
Yeah.
an electric motor.
I would think that I'd be smelling electricity.
All right, I'm seeing one right now. I just went to cars.com, right? I'm seeing one, a 2014 model with 132,000 miles on it for $59.99.
No way.
5,999. No, I'm not tempted at all.
Oh, 5,000?
Yeah, under $6,000.
Yeah,
Oh.
2014, yeah.
No, they're not for me. I don't mind. I mean, they're for other people. They're fine. They're not for me. I got to be able to open the hood and see something. You know what I'm saying?
What are you going to open up the hood and see in that?
Nothing. There's no hood to open.
Storage?
Yeah, your luggage. How do you cool them off at the end of a run?
Let's say when you buy your new Tesla and you park it in the garage, are you still going to have the hood open so she doesn't set stuff on it?
Chris, there's no hood.
Yeah, there is. You got the storage compartment.
Well, I suppose you could open that to prevent scratching.
Right.
But there's nothing to gaze at. There's nothing to sit around and tell lies about.
You've really allowed yourself to get distracted here. Can we get back on track? Is there anybody else, any listeners or politicians you really want to alienate before we go to break here? I know you've got a list of grievances today.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
You've calmed down a lot since, we signed
John,
on
there's a
earlier.
tremendous transformation that must take place before the show goes on the air.
Listen to him.
Yeah. I don't think we're done yet, and I'm still not going to mention his name. Can we play our governor?
Are you sure you want to do that now?
Okay, I'll wait.
Because I was going to say, I think all of us are going to have some rage with that.
I'm going to actually have to leave for 10, 20 minutes due to my rage.
I want to tell you about Bradshaw and Bryant personal injury attorneys, if you're like me, and I'm not exaggerating. I keep the insurance card in my car. I know enough to do that, but I'm sure I would be puzzled as to what to do if we were ever in an accident or injured in an accident. Bradshaw and Bryant will help you. They work it through. They deal with the insurance companies and the adjusters. They can be difficult to deal with. Mike Bryant from Bradshaw and Bryant, this is what he does. He has a team. They'll explain your rights, represent you, help you in a tough time. For 6 consecutive years, Mike Bryant has been recognized as a super lawyer. And if I was a lawyer, that's what I would aspire to. I want to be a super lawyer.
You got a cape and
It's
the
like
whole
a
deal?
superhero.
Yeah.
I hope you're never in an accident, and Bradshaw and Bryant hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, call Bradshaw and Bryant at 800-770-7008 or go to MinnesotaPersonalInjury.com. All case evaluations are free. And Bradshaw and Bryant does not want you to suffer this problem. Don't text and drive. Don't drive distracted. That's just common sense from Bradshaw and Bryant. I got no mouse.
Here's a guy that doesn't have a mouse. Joe Souchere.
Wait a minute.
Hold
I
on.
want to know. I got her.
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Well, I'm not on. Kenny is.
He's messing with you.
Hi, Joe.
I thought he was the one who wanted to retain at least one listener.
Oh, wow.
Don't you have a computer voice saying you can she can hear radios turning off? whenever I talk?
somewhere.
I can
get that.
Don't play that now because I want to talk about ProTurf, and it's essential that you listen to this because these guys are amazing. I remember the first couple years of being a homeowner, and I had that cart spreader thing, and I had all the stuff and 15, 18 trips to the hardware store to buy all the stuff, and I burned my yard. It was a mess. There were bare spots, and nothing changed no matter how hard I tried until the day I actually opened up the laptop, clicked on professionalturf.com, and finally got around to scheduling that free estimate. The ProTurf guy comes out, checks it out, and says, yeah, this is a disaster, and yeah, I will change your life. And sure enough, he did. By the middle of the summer, I had the best lawn on the block. It's all due to their know-how and their knowledge, and they knew my yard better than I did, and they threw down a custom slow-release fertilizer and weed control program, environmentally safe, guaranteed for results. It got rid of all the crabgrass, the dandelions, the broadleaf weeds, and everything just filled in nicely. And every year I won the battle on my block, best lawn on the block, and it was all thanks to ProTurf. You got to get on the horn, professionalturf.com. Schedule that free in-person estimate, and you too will have the best lawn on the block. Get to professionalturf.com.
Joe, when Kenny speaks, I can hear radio dials changing channels all over the Twin Cities.
When our governor made an appearance, was it yesterday?
Yes, sir.
I believe this is Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He was working the room like he thought he was Chris Rock.
Got the stool and the mic stand and the
was
whole
there a
deal.
bottle of water on the
yeah.
stool?
Yep.
Just like he's doing an HBO special. So here's a bit of what he said yesterday.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out, just telling you. Saying on my phone.
Thank you.
What did he say it was at?
225.
It's now at 234.22.
Let me try to remain calm.
Good luck.
This is all because this fellow thinks he's going to be a presidential candidate.
Yep.
He's trying to keep that hope alive. This state is off the rails. This state is in horrible, horrible financial condition. The culture he has engendered in his administration has given away hundreds of millions of dollars to nonprofits with no oversight whatsoever. I'm the one who's been saying I believe it's been done purposefully. The kind way to say it, what he would say, we're just a generous people, I guess. What they're really doing is redistributing wealth. And as he has enjoyed a trifecta, they couldn't give away enough money. They took your tax dollars, they gave it to unaccountable people and never provided any conditions for the reception of the money. Never. They had to be told this by their own legislative auditor. It didn't make any difference. Walz continues to get away with it, and they feign some concern when the nonprofits get caught in the real world by the judicial system. It was through nothing Walz did or his trifecta that brought the food fraudsters, for example, to justice. They didn't do a thing to make that happen, nor will they do a thing to make the daycare fraudsters come to justice. They won't do a thing to make the Medicaid fraudsters come to justice. He's ruined the state in the sense that he's ruined it in line with ideological Mysterian wishes. He's helping to bring that about. This state is not recognizable compared to what it was. I'm going to use the year 2005. As recently as 2005, this state is unrecognizable. There has been no adult supervision, no personal responsibility, no fiduciary responsibility, and a complete breakdown of any expected oversight that would have prevented any of this from happening. And for some reason, I don't understand why are the Democrats nationally so stupid that A, they don't understand why they lost, and B, they think it's perfectly acceptable that the head of a failing state, a dramatically failing state, is out there pretending to do stand-up comedy to build up his resume for a presidential run? Is there anyone in that party who can shake the lapels of people and make them realize how unwanted they are and what they can do to correct themselves? This is truly astonishing that this fellow is that tone deaf to what's happening. And again, I'm the one who says it's on purpose. So he's not tone deaf to what's happening. He knew what was happening all along. It's the redistribution of wealth, and they figured out how to do it.
Think of the gall of that guy to get up on stage and say that, as you mentioned, we had an $18 billion surplus, which is now going to be a $6 billion deficit, while the largest fraud in history is on trial in his own state. Think about that.
By the way, the jury has the case as we speak. Mm-hmm. John has that coming up.
That takes some balls, man.
Yesterday we
Well, wait a minute. Don't move on. Do you think this is on orders from above, Joe? From somebody in the DFL party? Go out there and keep your face in the news? Or do you think this is all him and Gwen?
I think it's him. I don't think he has great fans. If there are any such thing left as any DFL kingmakers or cigar smokers in the back room, I don't know if there are. I don't think they would be fans of Walz. I think this is all Tim's ego.
On a national level, we know in this state you could put a DFL sticker on a cadaver, and that dead body will win an election in this state.
Yesterday we talked about, I'm not leaving this topic, generally speaking. We talked about the Democrats voting down the idea of providing $4 million a year to pregnancy resource centers while ensuring that more than $24 million a year will still be going to Planned Parenthood. And they came up with all sorts of ridiculous rhetoric that seems to indicate that they view birth as some sort of patriarchal event in life, that especially if it's birth by a white person, because they're trying to undo the country and they're trying to bring that about by the mystery. And today we learn again from Alpha News that one of the longest tenured Democrats in the Minnesota House, oh, wait a minute, where am I? We have a bill that was carried by Tina Liebling in 2023 that the DFL trifecta passed, which effectively repealed the long-standing Born Alive Infants Protection Act. The 2023 legislation modified language in state statute that had required medical providers to preserve the life of an infant born alive after an abortion procedure, to instead require only that they provide care for the infant. The 1976 version of this bill, the 2015 version of this Born Alive statute, they were passed with Democratic support. Late last week, House File 24, the bill attempting to restore the Born Alive Act language to the state statute, failed to pass by one vote, as 67 Republicans voted for the proposal and 66 Democrats voted against it. Bills need 68 votes to pass. So the caveats have to be entertained here. This, of course, does not happen frequently. That a baby is born alive after an abortion procedure. It's very rare. I'm not sure it's ever happened in Minnesota. But what if it happens once? There is no compelling interest in the law to preserve the life of the child, because the Democrats voted to make sure that wasn't in the language. These people are demonic. I'm perfectly willing to grant this doesn't happen much, if at all. It doesn't happen.
Ever.
I don't know who these people are.
Well, it does come from a very dark place to propose that type of legislation, correct? I mean, that's shocking.
Comfort care is not preserving life. That's just wait until the kid conks out, fluff up the pillow. So maybe that's how they can all justify it in their minds, as they preserve their intent to be as corrosive as possible to the very idea of there even being a United States of America. Maybe they justify it in their minds by saying, it's never going to happen. So then they're able to go to the darkest wing of their constituency and say, see, we didn't let you down. Even if the baby's born alive after an abortion, it won't make it. That's apparently how they're justifying it, by saying, and don't worry, that won't happen. These people are not well. I mean that. They're something has happened to them. They have consumed the the mystery. They have consumed it. They hold every American convention in contempt. They hold every American convention in contempt. And I just think that many of the voters, particularly in the inner city, are just absolutely not paying any attention. They have no idea what these so-called Democrats are up to.
Well, it's just like what Kenny said. I mean, they see the DFL next to a name and they just check the box.
This fellow who just won in Roseville in the special election, what's his name? Dave Schneider, Steinberg, Friedberg, I don't know. He won by 77% of the vote. Does anybody in Roseville realize what they just did? Do they care? They don't care.
They made sure they didn't vote for a Republican.
Right.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah. Well,
it seems to me like it's more of a Republican problem than it is a
David
DFL
Gottfried.
David Gottfried.
Sorry, Kenny.
Democrat problem.
Let me go after Trump for a while.
Oh, good.
What Trump and Musk do, much of what they want to do, I approve of. I want it to happen. I want government to become smaller, more accountable, less corruption, less fraud, because I happen to believe it's just rife with all of that. And if they want to change that, I'm rooting for them. But what they do, basically, is they go into a department of government, they open the door, they throw in a flashbang grenade, they stand outside the door with their ears, protecting their ears from the explosion, and then when it's done, they go in and try to figure out what the hell happened. So it's being done horribly. It's being done clumsily. No greater example than the Department of Defense having to take down on its website the famous photo of the Marines holding up the flag on Iwo Jima. It's the most famous patriotic photograph ever taken. Well, they had to take it down because one of the guys holding up the flag is Ira Hayes, who John brought up in yesterday's news, a Pima Indian. And so because DEI is under attack, let me try to help the administration. DEI should be under attack. It's a modern affectation of the failed academy. It's the assignation of it's the assigning an outcome arbitrarily and whimsically. It has nothing to do with achievement. It is denigrating to the freedom of every individual in the country, no matter your skin color. It is freedom depriving. DEI is part of the mystery. It's another way to insist that the country was flawed at its founding, that it's too patriarchal, that life is too unfair, and we're going to take all of the people we decide who are deserving, we being the failed academy where it's sprung from, and we'll decide who gets an outcome. So it's absolutely a correct path to be on to undo DEI in its academic forms. It's made up out of whole cloth. It doesn't mean anything. It costs too much money, and it's all freedom depriving. So now, under the guise of wiping out DEI, these morons throw a hand grenade into the Defense Department, and it blows everything up, including the photograph of the Marines holding up the flag on Iwo Jima, one of whom is Ira Hayes. And they had to get rid of the photograph, they think, because Ira Hayes was a Pima Indian. Him being a Pima Indian had nothing to do with him being there. He enlisted in the Marines. He enlisted in the Marines. What do you think? Somebody drove around the country and said, we better have an Indian join us, and they picked him out? You idiots. He spoke English very well at his mother's insistence. Apparently, he could speak English as well as anybody. A real shy guy. But he served honorably in the Marines. At his choosing, you idiots! Hegseth, you moron! Now, because it's a flash grenade and they tore up the building, I predict and I hope that will be restored to the website. That will be restored when they see the error of their ways. That will, just like the Tuskegee Airmen were taken off the Air Force website, they're back on. You're going to have to put these people back on because you people got to get a clue as to what DEI means and why it's so insidious. It has nothing to do with female nurses who served in World War II or Vietnam. It has nothing to do with a Pima Indian who volunteered. He enlisted. It has nothing to do with code talkers, you fools.
Who at the Department of Defense made the decision to pull those things?
Hegseth. Multiple articles about the Navajo code talkers who were critical to America's victory at Iwo Jima and the wider Pacific Theater were also removed, along with a profile of Tonawanda Seneca, officer who drafted the terms the Confederacy surrender at Appomattox towards the end of the Civil War. The Purge, which also targets multiple web pages about women and LGBTQ service members, highlights how aggressively military leaders are pursuing Trump's anti-DEI mandate, but they're doing it wrong because they don't know what they're going after, and they don't know the true reason why DEI is so insidious. Their actions mean that some of the most authoritative sources of public information about the achievements of minority service members decades before government DEI programs existed have disappeared. Some of the articles, including the piece about Hayes, remain online on websites or social media accounts for individual branches of the military. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has vigorously supported an executive order that Trump issued on the first day of office banning DEI from the federal government programs and contracts. Hegseth, are you that stupid?
I can't find anywhere that says Hegseth said pull that image down.
Why don't you read page 2 of today's Star Tribune?
Joe, I've read it 5 times.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has vigorously supported an executive order that Trump issued on his first day in office. What do you want me to tell you, Kenny?
I want
that
to
some
know,
underling did it and Hegseth's appalled?
I want to know who said pull that off the website, pull that picture down. I guarantee you it wasn't Hegseth.
It wouldn't surprise me a bit if it was Hegseth.
Well, I think you're getting yourself all worked up about something that's probably going to be fixed before the weekend
It should never have happened.
Right. But as we've seen the last month or so, there's been a lot of backtracking in a lot of
What
different
have I just said? They throw a flash bang grenade into the Department of Defense. They blow up everything, and then it has to be pointed out what idiots they are.
Well, then maybe you knowing that, you shouldn't get so upset.
No, I want to be upset. Ira Hayes enlisted.
I understand.
In the Marine Corps.
He was a badass Marine.
Perhaps this is a ray of hope. Yesterday, I told you also in the same story about Army Major General Charles Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
He was a black man. They wiped his page.
Yep.
And some, I will call this person an idiot, put DEI medal over the top, remember? The page. So that's what the page said. But they did reinstate because literally thousands of people complained over the weekend about it.
So
perhaps
this is going to be fixed.
But
okay,
Joe,
look, you have a different view of it, I do, and I don't know what game you're trying to play, but the view I have of it is this shouldn't have been done in the first place. They don't know how to go after DEI because they don't really understand what it is. They think it's just black people must be DEI, period. They don't even know what it is.
I'm going to argue with you there, Joe. I just think basically everything that they're doing this to is going about with no plan. They're throwing a flash grenade in. And the whole government I'm talking about. Look at all the programs.
Every department is doing this.
Yeah, and look at all the programs being destroyed that we're finding out. Oh, gee, wait a minute. We got to put that back.
John, are you trying to say it might be a concept of a plan?
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Might be a concept of a plan.
Here's what I'm telling you.
What are you telling me?
We have become experts on DEI, whether we've wanted to or not.
We as in the show?
Yes,
Okay.
we've seen the folly of it. We understand its roots in the failed academy. We understand why it's insidious. These idiots don't, apparently. They might have a hint about it, but you don't throw a hand grenade at Ira Hayes. You just don't. Period.
Hey, if you don't like America, then you can get it.
What? So I think it's appalling. Yes, it will be fixed. I predict it will be fixed.
We hope.
Yeah.
See, my scenario is a lot more dark than yours.
What's your
And
scenario?
that somebody did this hoping to get this reaction to prove how bad Elon and Trump are. This will show them. So I come from an even darker place than you do. But I'm not going to yell and scream about it like it,
I come from a darker place even than Kenny, thinking somebody's trying to destroy our government.
See, we can just get darker and darker.
How dark
on
you want
Joe.
me to get?
Yeah, exactly.
No, Kenny, that's not bad.
As conspiracy
as
theories go,
darkness goes, that's pretty dark.
That's the nicest thing Joe has ever said to me.
I think
right
that's
there.
the equivalent of
Okay, Kenny.
okay, Kenny.
No, that was better than an okay Kenny.
Okay.
Let's hope that.
Well, and if you went John's road, the only reason to destroy the government would be to replace it not with the mystery, but with an authoritarian nature. Yeah.
I didn't.
So
say
I don't
that.
want the mystery, and I don't want authoritarian.
What do you
I
want?
really miss the United States. I don't know how far back I'd have to go to get it. It certainly was pre-Obama. I don't know how far back to go to get it. Because then all people are going to say is, okay, Boomer, you're locked in the Leave It to Beaver scene. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not locked in the Leave It to Beaver
Back
scene.
in my day.
Yeah, back in my day when we walked to school.
You were compared though to Eddie
uphill.
Haskell in that one photo in the computer.
I don't
room.
understand what you're talking about.
I have some breaking news.
Eddie Haskell's
Yes.
Leave It to Beaver.
The Japan Times reports the U.S. Defense Department said Wednesday it's working to restore a deleted webpage hosting an iconic photo of 6 Marines hoisting the flag, as well as content about the Pacific War's legendary Navajo code talkers following an uproar over their removal under the Trump administration.
Okay, they heard me then. See, it just happened.
You worked.
They
just
heard
happened.
me.
They're
Way to
members
go,
of the
Joe.
town council.
Somebody on the council got to them, said,
Yes.
you better tune in Souchere right now.
He's on a roll.
You're
Thank
an
you.
influencer,
Thank
Joe.
you. I'm now an influencer to save Ira Hayes. That didn't take long, did it? But I rest my case. They're throwing grenades into these rooms, and then they got to wait and see what happens.
Well
Can
done,
we play
Joe.
the Ira Hayes song? I really want to hear that song.
Johnny Cash did a song about Ira. Didn't you play it yesterday?
Alan, no, we can't. We can't.
Can't
play.
play.
Oh,
it.
yeah, we can't.
That's right.
Do you know that Ira made it to the age of 35?
Yeah.
When he came home, there was no support. He was treated poorly. He was used. The military put him in a automobile caravan that went to 35 cities, and he was celebrated with 2 other service members, and presumably he got paid for that, and he was hailed as a hero that he rightly was. And then the minute that tour was over, he was on his own, and he was tormented by the war, as many people were. And I suppose we'd call it post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Sure.
So he just drank himself to death and didn't make it past 35 years old.
A lot of the same sort of things happen to our black soldiers, too.
Mm-hmm. And white.
Well, yeah.
But there's not a chance in hell that they should have ever thrown that hand grenade in a room that included the picture of Ira Hayes. But they did, and now it's restored. So I guess I have to settle for that. I'll settle for that. It's restored.
You know what? You should call that a win.
Yeah, they heard me.
They did.
They heard me.
They did. North American Banking Company hears you, Joe. 6 Twin Cities locations to serve you. I like to go to Roseville and 50th in France, but you can also see my friends at North American Banking Company in Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and also Maple Grove. They offer all of the services as the other big national banks. It doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been thinking about. They will be able to help you out. They offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And they are locally owned and operated. And here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps you business owners solve problems quickly and expand your business with confidence. They deal with numbers every single day, but you are never going to be one of them. And when they first opened back in 1998, they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers where you know your banker and they know you. So your first step can be checking them online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. It's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Before you go.
Oh. Yes, sir.
Before you go.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Souchere.
Such, when you had a whole fleet of really fun motorcycles, when you sold those off, did you fire up those bikes beforehand, before the prospective buyer came over, just to make sure they ran, or would you wait till a guy walked into your garage? How'd you do that?
Boy, I don't remember, but every one of them ran perfectly.
Well, I know that. I wasn't trying to accuse you of anything.
No, I mean, they would have started either way. They would have.
The reason I ask is I got a great email from Howard Clary. He's a guy that checks in quite a bit. And it reminded me of a procedure that I've been seeing more and more on Marketplace and other places where if they have a video of the machine, they put their hand on the exhaust pipe or the cylinder head.
Oh, God, I'm glad you brought that up.
To prove that it's cold.
The cold start.
Yeah, and then they kick it over. So Howard had a situation like that with a motorcycle he had for sale. He had a guy coming over, but this thing had been in storage all winter, and it was treated with seafoam. So what he did is he set his camera up, touched the pipe, did all that stuff, and then sure enough, the motorcycle started right away. And then when the buyer showed up, he showed him the video to prove it. But the main point here, and it is with all of these ads, is seafoam always works. It's worked for me after sitting a snowmobile that sat for 2 years, fired right up. And once I figured out you have to turn the choke on, it fired right up. And that's how seafoam is. It works in so many wild ways. It helps the internals. It preserves ignition vapors. It does it all. You can find it everywhere. It's amazing proof that seafoam truly works, and it always guarantees that your cylinders will be happy. A wonderful product in a world of bad gas. Our friend Seafoam.
In the world I'm wrapped up in, buying and selling British cars.
Yeah.
The worst thing that's ever happened to the hobby is the cold start. Because you stop to think about it. And here's what happens: you put a video on the website that you're going to choose, and you're shown grabbing an exhaust pipe and leaving your hand on it to prove that it's cold. Okay, I refuse to do it because I think it's asinine, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Every internal combustion engine on Earth has to start cold once a day.
Yeah.
Do you think I go out in the morning and put my hand on the exhaust pipe to make sure the car will start? Drives me crazy. I think it's a bunch of BS. But that's what's happened to the cold start.
I used to have a couple of really fun mini bikes, Yamaha TTR 125s, notoriously cold-blooded. In perfect running order, if they hadn't run for a day, you'd have to kick it 15 times and then play with the choke for 5 minutes before it would run. So when I went to buy one with my nephew, and the thing wouldn't start, it was really funny. My nephew's face was like, "Oh no, we drove all this way for this piece of crap." And I'm like, "Don't worry about it, kiddo. These things are all cold-blooded. You just have to know your motor."
Here is Mr. John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news brought to you by North American Banking Company. Deliberations now underway in the Feeding Our Future trial of founder Amy Bach and her co-defendant Salim Saeed, the co-owner of Safari Restaurant. Jurors were given instructions late Tuesday afternoon. They came back to the courthouse. They began deliberations at 9 this morning. After 6 weeks of testimony, Bach and Saeed are accused of conspiring to steal $250 million of taxpayer money from the child nutrition program. If found guilty, they both face decades in prison.
Look at it this way, John and Kenny and the rest, Chris.
Hi.
If they had not been caught, that would have been perfectly fine with the administration. That money was paid out to those nonprofits, at which point they were on their own to pull it off. That redistribution of wealth had been committed. Had they not been caught, they would have successfully stolen the $250 million.
Mm-hmm. Update to that story that broke while we were recording the podcast yesterday. We've talked a bit about it already today. Republican state lawmakers are calling on one of their own to resign after Senator Justin Eichhorn was arrested in Bloomington on suspicion of soliciting an underage girl for sex. Formal charges were filed this morning against Eichhorn, who was arrested in Bloomington. Eichhorn allegedly communicated online with a Bloomington Police Department detective who was posing as a 17-year-old girl and arranged to meet for sex. Police arrested Eichhorn on Monday evening at the rendezvous point. Hennepin County prosecutors have charged him with 1 count of prostitution for allegedly agreeing to hire someone under 18 but older than 16 for sex. He currently has a hearing scheduled for tomorrow afternoon in Hennepin County. Republicans in the House and Senate released statements yesterday urging Eichhorn to step down, saying, "We are shocked by these reports, and this alleged conduct demands an immediate resignation. Justin has a difficult road ahead, and he needs to focus on his family." In a joint statement, House Speaker Lisa Damath and House Republican leader Harry Niska said the seriousness of the charges warrants Eichhorn's resignation. They say, while he is entitled to due process, we must hold legislators to a higher standard. Well, all of this, of course, comes as another state senator, Democrat Nicole Mitchell of Woodbury, has pending felony case after she allegedly broke into her stepmother's Detroit Lakes home with a crowbar. Senate Republicans have pushed to have Mitchell removed from the chamber, and shortly after Mitchell's arrest, Eichhorn also joined the caucus calls for her to resign. Mitchell has not resigned, and as Joe pointed out, she actually was involved in the vote to keep her in the Minnesota Senate.
Say, don't mess with Bloomington because they got a chief there, Booker Hodges.
Oh, yeah.
He could give a rat's ass who you are.
Yeah.
So if you're a Republican legislator, or a Democratic governor, or the president of 3M, he doesn't care. If you're in his town and you do wrong, you're in trouble.
He was quoted in this story, wasn't he?
Yeah. Made it very clear not to break the law there.
Forgive me if you pointed this out. I don't think you did. Eichhorn also was the one that introduced the Trump derangement.
Came up.
He was one of the 5 authors of that.
That was
bill.
Trolling. They were trolling.
Trump
They
derangement
were having
syndrome.
fun. Yeah.
You think he did? Oh, let's leave it at that.
Did you happen to hear from one or more of them, Joe? Via email?
I did get emails from people who knew them to tell me they were just joshing.
Okay.
Oh, comedy.
Okay, John.
moving right along, John. John, ignore yourself and keep reading the news.
Okay. I can't giggle at my own joke.
No.
The St. Paul City Council will choose from among 4 finalists to temporarily fill that Ward 4 seat vacated by former council member Mitra Jalali. She left the council on March 8th. The candidates, if you're wondering, are artist and community organizer Sean Lim.
That means not working.
Artist and neighborhood advocate Lisa Claire Nelson.
Not working.
Clean energy advocate Matt Pravratsky.
Not working.
And nonprofit consultant Melissa Martinez-Sonis.
This is what's happened. I got an email coming up about that. Go ahead, John.
The council will interview the candidates today and will vote on an interim appointment on March 26th. The candidate will be sworn into the seat in April and serve through a special election likely to be held August 12th. Jay Williams, Chief Budget Officer and Interim Director of Ops for the City Council, reviewed 20 applications and called them down to 4 after conferring with City Clerk Sherry Moore and other council staff. The ward spans Hamlin Midway, Merriam Park, St. Anthony Park, and parts of McAllister, Groveland, and Como. From the Star Tribune, the city of St. Paul slapped a hefty price tag on its long-awaited plan to reinvent a crucial swath of downtown, including Minnesota Wild's XL Energy Center. For $769 million, the city would overhaul the NHL arena as well as the neighboring Roy Wilkins Auditorium and the River Center, creating what they call a premier destination for sports, concerts, conventions, and more. Under the proposal, the Wild, helmed by team owner Craig Leopold, would contribute about $216 million. The city, the owner of all 3 buildings in Ramsey County, would cover about $159 million, according to Mayor Melvin Carter. What legislators will hear about Thursday when the mayor presents the pitch to the House Capital Investment Committee is the state's penciled-in responsibility, $394.6 million. That, of course, a big ask for taxpayers. Officials from St. Paul and the from St. Paul and the Wild acknowledged, but they framed the sum as an investment, arguing the renovations would boost the facility's economic impact by more than $100 million.
I snicker, John, only because I'm monitoring my close friend over here that happens to be a St. Paul resident. That's the reason.
Why are you opposed, Joe?
Didn't say I was.
Oh, we can all tell. from your body
Well,
language.
I know you guys all heard the episode of the Weekly Scramble podcast yesterday, but just in case you missed it, we were citing a piece from Axios Twin Cities. It's really, really good. Nick Halter wrote a piece about how basically Dan Gilbert, the billionaire owner of Rocket Mortgage and the Cleveland Cavaliers, saved Detroit because real estate prices had plummeted to such a degree that he bought all these buildings for pennies on the dollar and really helped bring back Detroit. Now, that's the model that St. Paul should basically use. Just all you need is a billionaire owner. That's all you need.
You just need to find a Dan
But
Gilbert.
having somebody like Leopold or whoever to basically buy all these buildings for pennies on the dollar
Well,
might
who
be...
said Leopold's going to do that?
I'm just saying somebody like him that's got
I'll give
that
you
kind
my
of money.
fear about Leopold.
Oh.
That if this doesn't happen, there'll be no more Wild.
Well, you have to agree that the Wild is the only thing that St. Paul has going on right now.
I do agree, and I've worried in the back of my mind for 2 years that club could be in play if Leopold doesn't get what he wants.
But it's in addition to that, it's the building, so it's concerts and all sorts of...
So wouldn't it be in your best interest as a resident and a taxpayer to agree to this program?
I haven't necessarily said I'm opposed to the program, although it's going to be ridiculously expensive.
I don't know what it's going to take to revive that city. I don't know about Chris's plan either.
Well, you just need people to come back and work downtown. That's what you need.
I don't think the mayor works at downtown.
Has he got an office?
Last I heard, he rarely goes to the office.
Is he even in the state?
I think so.
Or is he with Walls on his comedy tour?
Maybe he's doing the Chris Rock thing.
He's a warm-up act, huh?
Mankato police say they've arrested a suspect in connection with a deadly stabbing at a Quick Trip gas station Tuesday morning. According to a news release from the Mankato Department of Public Safety, officers responding to a disturbance just after 3 in the morning at the Quick Trip at Madison Avenue and Bassett Street. An employee was found stabbed and unresponsive inside. The victim, 34-year-old Dennis Vosica, was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Using surveillance footage, police identified the suspect as 28-year-old Michael Miller. Officers arrested him at his home later Tuesday morning. Miller is being held on suspicion of second-degree murder. He has not yet been formally charged. In a statement, Quick Trip CEO Scott Zietlow called Vosica's death a devastating loss for all of us and said the company is working to make sure that everyone feels safe and supported during this challenging time. And the city of Stillwater is thinking about restrictions or even an outright ban on cryptocurrency machines because there's been some scams reported. They say the scams where residents have been targeted to make cash transactions to digital accounts using cryptocurrency machines. And Police Chief Brian Mueller says some of them are pretty scary and pretty convincing. We have individuals in our community that are scared out of their wits, and they are bringing wads of money with them. A crypto machine allows a person to buy digital currency by putting cash into the device, and then the funds are transferred to someone's account. Well, what is happening? The scammers tell the person to go to a machine, put in cash, and then send the cryptocurrency to settle up an issue. An issue like individuals being told their loved ones are being hurt, arrested, or the federal or local government has warrants out for their arrest. Doesn't seem like this would work, does it?
Oh,
Oh, I think it could.
yeah, I think it might, John.
Well, Stillwater police have taken more than 30 crypto-related scam reports totaling almost $157,000 of loss recently. Since 2023.
Let's be honest, John. Are these people being fooled by this? Are they the ones that we should be taking their cell phones away anyway?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, more to my point.
You know, they're morons.
Well,
If you get a call or email.
looking at you, well, my friend.
Me? I don't even know what a crypto machine is.
No, and you barely know how to use your phone.
That's right. You can take mine.
If you get these calls or messages, Stillwater police say you should give them a call.
I would if I were them, John.
There you go.
Is that it?
So, wait a minute.
Have we taken a hike break yet?
Wait a second.
We are now.
So somebody calls you and says, I've got the CP, and you're not going to get her back unless I get $1 million.
Good luck
How
to
low?
you. That
How
ended
low?
up being ransom of Red Chief. They would call me, saying, "How much can we give you to
Please
take her
come
back?"
get her back.
To negotiate down. Yeah.
Hey, call me in about a week. See how you're doing.
Look, hey, buddy, we'll pay you. Just come get her.
That's ransom of Red Chief.
We'll include gas money.
Let's take a break and hear from Mr. Reavers.
If you've been involved in a crypto scam, no, I'm just kidding. You should check out Linda Keller and KellerTaxService.com. The online appointment scheduler is now fixed. So if you did have trouble booking online, it's all good now. So go to KellerTaxService.com to schedule anytime, or you are still welcome to call the office directly at 320-352-0013 during business hours. Yes, Joe.
When you're done.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Appointments are still available, but don't wait until the last minute. Saturday and evening spots are still available, so visit KellerTaxService.com. Her turnaround time has approached about 7 to 10 days, and that's because we're getting to crunch time here. Less than a month ago to that tax filing day of April 15th. And if you're thinking about filing an extension, then let's talk. You still need a plan. Whether you're filing now or you need to discuss your tax strategy, don't hesitate to reach out to my good friend Linda Keller and Keller Tax Service. She's been doing my taxes for a number of years now, and she is the absolute best in the business. And she also wanted me to make sure that I mentioned all of you GLers that have reached out. She is so very, very thankful for you. And it doesn't matter what type of return you're doing. You're filing jointly, you're filing single, if you have a business, and if you're out of state, Linda Keller can help you out. So once again, visit KellerTaxService.com, and please mention that you heard about her on the Garage Logic podcast, Joe.
That's the old Jack Benny line, Kenny, where the guy with the gun goes up to Jack Benny and says, "Your money or your life." There's a great pause, and Benny says, I'm thinking.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
You might want to bring that back up if it doesn't cut out on you.
All right.
This is the kind of tune I like in the garage when I'm varnishing. I'm a great varnisher. And to do that, you need a great garage door that seals perfectly. That would be Precision Door MN.
Who's in charge of checking if it's dry?
Rookie comes over and puts his paw on it, and you got to start over. Precision Door MN should be your garage door guy. The GLers who've emailed me about Precision Door have really, really enjoyed the process and the experience. These guys are good. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro area. If you need a new door, they've got you covered. They have models for every budget. They send out a designer that's free of charge. And if you get a new door, now they're throwing in a garage door motor, the new motor. It's a more than a $760 value. So 612-263-6985. Or if you prefer the interwebs, go to Precision Door MN. That's one word. PrecisionDoorMN.com.
Thank you, Joe. In national and international stories, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts issuing a rare public statement yesterday, pushing back after President Trump called to impeach a federal judge that had ruled against his administration in a high-profile deportation case. Roberts said for more than 2 centuries it's been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreements concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. The Chief Justice's statement came hours after the president called for impeaching U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, an appointee of former President Obama who blocked Trump from invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. The plaintiffs have questioned whether Trump officials complied with the judge's Saturday order to turn any planes around, sparking a remarkable battle between the administration and the judiciary. We do not have Obama judges. Remember, Roberts told Trump this in 2018. We do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, Bush judges or Clinton judges. What we have is an extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal right to those appearing before them. As Trump again attacks judges he views as unfavorable, Republican lawmakers have aimed to impeach Boasberg and several other judges who have blocked Trump administration policies.
I can't understand why anyone would defend Trump on this matter. It's only a matter of time then before your own ox was gored, as they say. You don't get to impeach a judge because you didn't like his decision.
You can try, though, can't you?
I guess. Why don't you throw a hand grenade in there and see what happens?
The Trump administration moved to reinstate about 24,500 probationary workers yesterday who were previously terminated under broad reduction in force efforts in recent weeks. The decision spans 18 agencies and follows court decisions that found the administration violated procedural law in carrying out the firings. The long-term status of the group is unclear. The decisions have been appealed, and judges noted terminations are allowed if carried out according to the law. In related news, a federal judge ruled yesterday the government's dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development, attributed to the Elon Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency, was likely unconstitutional. The ruling stopped short of fully restarting the agency's operations. Separately, individual departments continue to formulate longer-term plans to reduce staff, including reports the Environmental Protection Agency will largely eliminate its 1,500-person research and development office. President Trump this morning spoke with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. This all follows him talking yesterday for about an hour and a half with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Putin yesterday rejected Trump's proposal for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, instead agreeing to a 30-day pause in attacks on energy and infrastructure. However, Russia bombed Ukraine energy infrastructure just hours after Putin talked with the president. Putin's forces conducted an airstrike on the energy infrastructure of Slavyansk, a city of about 100,000 people in the Donetsk region, according to local reports, leaving part of the city without electricity. We talked about this. NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore splashing down off the Florida coast yesterday, concluding an unexpected 9-month stay aboard the International Space Station. They returned on a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule along with NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Russian cosmonaut Alexander Gurbanov. Originally scheduled for a 10-day mission aboard Boeing Starliner in June 2024, Williams and Wilmore remained on the ISS due to technical issues with the spacecraft, including helium leaks and propulsion problems. While awaiting their return, they integrated into the regular ISS crew rotation, contributing to scientific research and daily operations. During their extended stay, the pair completed 4,576 orbits of Earth, traveling more than 121 million miles.
Wow. And Porky Pigging it the whole way.
The mission brings Williams' career cumulative total time in space to 608 days. That's the second most among U.S. astronauts behind Peggy Whitson. The astronauts will undergo medical evaluation at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston to assess the effects of their prolonged spaceflight.
They were greeted by a pod of curious dolphins, and I think there's a meaning there. I don't know what.
What do you think the meaning is?
I think it's a sign.
Oh.
I don't know of what, but curious dolphins playfully swimming around the capsule as though to say, "Welcome back, astronauts."
Nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's a porpoise, isn't it? And
it says dolphin.
Fire!
Close enough.
And Jesse Colin Young, whose tenor vocals for the Youngbloods graced one of the most loving anthems of the hippie era, has died. That song, Get Together, of course, by the Youngbloods, top 5 hit in 1969 before he went on to pursue a solo career that lasted more than 5 decades. Colin Young was 83 years old. His death was announced by his publicist, no cause given. He didn't write Get Together. It was composed by the folk singer Chet Powers, who later became under the pseudonym Dino Valenti, a member of the band Quicksilver Messenger Service. Young's voice idealized it, though, and the chorus he sang, everybody knows it, come on people now, smile on your brother, everybody get together, try to love one another. Young did make some excellent albums on his own in the 1970s and some excellent songs, too, including one of my favorites ever, Ridgetop.
He must have been doing all right, John, if he had a publicist.
Yeah, he still performed on it.
Yeah.
He quit for a while, and he farmed, and then he got back in the business, 10, 15 years ago, and he was still doing small concerts. And I'm sure he's got a ton of money from the 70s. He didn't write Get Together, but he did write tons of other stuff. Like I said, Ridgetop, which might be one of my favorite hippie
So a
anthems
guy
ever.
who wrote Come Together,
Get Together,
ended up in Quicksilver Messenger Service?
Yeah, Dino Valenti.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. Yeah. Check out Ridgetop, though. Seriously, folks.
Ridgetop.
7-minute ode to his home in the California hills. It's a great hippie tune. It's got great lyrics, killer saxophone and guitar work.
Johnny? Is that what you said?
Ridgetop.
I'm going to check it out.
Yeah,
Jesse Colin Young.
Jesse Colin Young, 83 years old. He also had his own coffee company for a while. He lived in Hawaii for a while. He had used Kona coffee, the really good stuff.
That's great to know, John. Thanks.
You know, Joe, sometimes
Okay,
what you
John.
don't know.
Is that it? Oh, I'm sorry. John's done. Thank you.
You know what?
Anytime.
Are you starting to feel it? Are you starting to get some of the fever? For college basketball.
Yes, I am. I should fill out a bracket and try to win this $100,000.
Well, Joe, that's because the college basketball playoff season is back and MyBookie is putting $100,000 on the line. Do you think you can build the perfect bracket, Joe Souchere?
It's never been done.
Take your shot at MyBookie's $100,000 bracket contest and prove it. Making the right calls, one pick at a time, climb the leaderboard, and cash in big. Even if your bracket gets busted early, you're never out of the action. MyBookie's deposit bonus makes sure you're covered for the full tournament. So stack your bankroll, stay in the game, and keep making plays. And when it comes to single game matchups, that's where the real money is made. Upsets, spreads, second half comebacks. Every game brings an opportunity. Bet every game. Scope out player props and find your edge. You can sign up right now with the promo code GL and claim your deposit bonus to make the most of the college basketball season. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. I'm not going to let Benji the Cat do it because all he does is picks team names like the Wildcats and the Tigers and things like that. He's really bad at it. But he can stand to win $100,000 with MyBookie. Promo code GL.
cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Souchere.
An emailer writes, you often take note of the fact that we keep electing these people being the current crop of Democratic socialists who are bringing about the mystery. I think part of this has to do with normal, everyday Americans not wanting to do the tedious work of making the sausage, if you will. We are busy earning a living and going about our daily lives. Yeah, we've said that many times. We've surrendered this. What we've done is put local politics in the same category as, say, a paper route or an entry-level fast food job, or perhaps a roofer or landscapers. Important jobs, but ones we don't wish to undertake, and thus abrogate to those who, generally speaking, aren't up to the job. It's sort of a pat on the head and thanks for taking care of that attitude to electing public servants. We are not taking our responsibility and civic well-being seriously. To be clear, when I say this, I mean primarily of the Minneapolis and St. Paul City Councils, but it can apply anywhere, and he signs it the Mink. We've been talking about minks lately. Okay, Mr. Mink, there's one problem with this, though, and why we're in trouble, because we have abrogated. The paper guy, our paper carriers can't tax us and spend our money. So that the point inevitably must be reached where normal everyday Americans can no longer afford to keep electing people who can tax us and spend our money the way they do, especially in this state, which might be in the worst financial shape of any state in the union. Mr. Mink. Speaking of mink, I got an interesting letter about minks again. If you're wondering why we're talking about minks, for some reason, Pat and I were talking about it Monday night, and it's carried over.
You know, the best part about that was he said we'd electrocute him through the anal gland, and that was still too good for him.
Still too good for him. Joe, loved the conversation on minks as it brought me back to the winter of 1974 when my older brothers and I worked at a company called New York Auction, located in the Furtex building, 3rd Street and North 2nd Avenue, Warehouse District in Minneapolis. He also notes parenthetically it's called the Caldwell Building. Yeah. They brought in mostly mink, but other farm furs. The pelts were graded and bundled and separated by lots, and eventually the big New York buyers came in to buy the auction furs to make coats and accessories. Many of the high school kids who worked there, like myself, went to De La Salle, just a short walk down Hennepin Avenue. I was 15 and a bundler. They laid out the inside-out pelts, fur on the inside, on a long table of around 20 to 30 pelts. These long tables had sections for other bundlers to work. You wore a gray coat akin to a lab coat a doctor would wear, and there was a good reason. You got pretty dirty and greasy. As a bundler, you had a steel needle about 18 inches long, wood handle at one end and sharpened end with an eye like a sewing needle. You stacked the pelts on their sides and pushed the needle through the lower eye of the pelt. Then you threaded a string through the eye of the needle and pulled it back through. You did the same way to the top of the eyes. Then you tied it off and moved on to the next bundle. Okay. The inside-out pelts were greasy. You got that smell embedded in you. You could wipe your leather boots with your greasy hands to keep them well oiled. One thing you found out when you took the number 4 bus home down Bryan Avenue South and 50th Street, and you got the stink eye from how you smelled. And while walking home from the bus stop, if you encountered a dog, it would do one of two things when it smelled you: growled or bay at the moon. Kind of funny, but you still had to watch out. Paid very well, and since the men working there were mostly Jewish, they would say you could work on Christmas if you wanted to and get time and a half. It was like working in a Seinfeld episode with the characters not unlike Jerry and George's fathers. It was fun working with mostly people I knew or related to, and it was great. I only did one season there, and eventually the Seattle Fur Company bought it and moved the operation and warehouse to Washington State. Thanks, Mark McGrath, Plymouth, Minnesota. Now, here's another as recently as. As recently as 1974, which to me doesn't seem that long ago. It's 51 years, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Downtown Minneapolis was organically busy. The warehouse district wasn't the warehouse district. It's where warehouses were that were full of employed people doing jobs.
Yep.
The current mess of Mysterians who know they have to have an active downtown are trying to create it artificially. You know, let's have a beanbag toss on Hennepin Avenue. In 1974, the town was crowded with people who were working.
Well, Joe, in 2014, that was happening.
Yeah. 2005.
Right.
I have good news on the traveling Lymans. They did not get eaten by a lion.
Well, that's good.
They had internet problems yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I still have their... on this day.
Today is March 19th.
I have it right here.
Good.
Only because they come to us all the way from the traveling Lymans at Mpumalanga Province, South Africa, in Marloth Park, where wild creatures come right up to their lanai. Would they be called a lanai in Africa, the screened porch area?
I thought that was a Hawaii thing only.
Well, it's also a Florida thing. But maybe,
it is?
Yeah, maybe it's an Africa thing.
All right.
On this day...
Why is it only those areas that it's referred to that way?
Well, do you have a year-round porch where you sit outside here with your hot tub and your pool under the screens?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't that be a four-season porch?
No.
Got it.
Chris, how dare you ask a question like that?
I'm sorry.
You intemperate busybody. On this day...
On March 19.
In 1849, Aaron Goodrich was appointed Chief Justice of the Minnesota Territory. I bet that's what Goodrich Avenue is named for in St. Paul. On this day,
March 9.
In 1867, a treaty signed in Washington, D.C. established the White Earth Reservation for the Ojibwe, and the transfer of the Mississippi Ojibwe to the site began June 14th. The leader, Bagon Gizhig, hole in the day younger, wanting no mixed bloods on the reservation, tried to block their relocation. Bad relations resulted from this policy, and Bagong Gizhig was assassinated on June 27, 1868, near his home in Crow Wing. A rough time, wasn't it?
I bet.
On this day,
on March 19th,
in 1880, a pedestrian bridge connecting Fort Snelling to St. Paul was completed. That's probably what the new Highway 5, the Highway 5 bridge is.
For sure,
now.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
On this day...
Wait. Do you know anything about that bridge? Was it up at ground level or was it down at sea level? Because that's a serious cliff there.
I do not know.
Yeah.
John? Pedestrian bridge,
Yep.
Fort Snelling to St. Paul, 1880.
I don't like pedestrian bridge that are way above. I don't like that. That gives me the elevator.
Yeah, there's
stomach.
no way I'd do that.
Yeah.
Like the one that's at the Hoover Dam. I ain't doing that.
I've been on that sucker.
Oh, I can't even. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
On this day,
on March 19th,
in 1992, what's that, 33 years ago?
Yes.
Rebecca Rand. Anybody know that name? Rebecca
sure do.
Rand.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not ringing a bell.
Minnesota's best-known brothel operator,
She had a
pled
joint.
guilty in Ramsey County District Court to 3 prostitution-related felonies and agreed to turn her buildings over to authorities, as well as pay $200,000 to settle a civil forfeiture suit. She observed, "I went through so many years without a pimp or anyone taking my money. Now the government decided to do that." I felt for her.
That's a good line.
And who was the guy in St. Paul?
Which guy?
I remember the T-shirt well. Free country, free speech, free Ferris.
Ferris Alexander.
Yeah.
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 On this day,
on March 19th,
in 2020, an elderly Ramsey County resident who, inconveniently enough, goes unnamed in this day in history, became the first Minnesotan to die from COVID.
Oh, my God. 5 years
Mm-hmm.
when we shut her down. Right? It was right after St. Patrick's Day.
Your math is correct.
Wow. And the world changed forever.
And we have a sports disappointment on this day. On this day,
on March 19th,
in 2021, the Vikings were fined for a salary cap violation.
Oh.
I wasn't terribly disappointed in that.
Well, how long ago was it that the Vikings were fined a draft pick for a certain reporter?
That was in 1978.
What the hell is he doing out there?
This talk of Aaron Rodgers.
It's been squashed this morning.
Whoever gets him is asking for trouble.
I agree.
In this sense. Because what you're getting then would be the accompanying sideshow.
Right.
You don't need a sideshow.
Delicately, has he taken too many hits to the head? Is that what we've got going here?
Aaron's problem, and John obviously followed his career much more closely than me, but Aaron's problem is Aaron is Aaron's biggest fan.
That's very true.
It's one
Very
of those
true.
deals.
Yeah.
He's never met a mirror he doesn't love.
Yeah. Kenny, remember yesterday your rage against Dan Wilson? You could have substituted Aaron Rodgers, and that would have been the exact same thing.
John, give us the update on this bridge. It's fascinating.
I'm looking. All I'm doing is looking at a picture postcard of it. So that's
where is it? Above ground or at ground level?
It's above ground.
Wow.
It's on two pillars, maybe three. I can't tell. One on each shoreline and then one in the middle.
Yep.
And then it goes to those bluffs you were talking about. It just walks from bluff to bluff.
It's called a deck girder bridge.
Huh.
It was built for $134,000. It was replaced in 1909 and then again in 1961.
So it was 1961, the bridge we're driving on now.
That old ratty piece of crap. Yep.
That's old, man.
Yeah, it is.
Anybody ever go down there and check the brickwork?
There's a cool bike trail right under it. It's really neat.
I was just about to ask, are there trails and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
wonderful
cool.
area to ride a bike down there.
That's cool.
The postcard that I'm looking at is cool, too, because there's a small boat. It almost looks like a houseboat. I don't know. Would you have some kind of houseboat in those days in the late 1800s?
Sure.
You can get them.
They were there.
Also, just to back up Kenny, lanai is a Hawaiian word. So that's where it
I
originated.
know it's a Hawaiian word, but it applies to a screened-in area in Florida.
It's a Hawaiian term.
You're really
for
poking
roof.
the bear today, Johnny.
Lanai.
Lanai. Yeah.
Come on, Awana.
But the same thing in Minnesota is called a deck.
You got a deck with a screen over there, Kenny?
Yeah.
You got one of them covered decks, huh?
One of them there covered.
Yeah. Thank you, all you GLers.
Please do us a favor, hit subscribe on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right. Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and you can watch the show each and every single day right around noon. And you can also see full segments, video shorts, behind-the-scenes footage in some cases, but it's all there for you on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. And you should follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and X. And the Daily Logician is there for you. Just go to garagelogic.com and sign up now, and you can get the Daily Logician, an email that comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. And if you want to be the GR
Who's
of the
eating
week,
a banana?
that's Roscoe.
Okay.
I can smell it from over
I
here.
can smell a banana.
Sorry, diabetic.
And also, thanks,
You don't
Ross.
have to apologize for being diabetic.
What the hell does being diabetic have to do with a banana?
Blood sugar. It's a blood sugar.
Have a cookie.